Hey guys, my name is Matt Johnson, and today I want to talk to you about audio gear. Specifically, all of the audio gear that I bring with me whenever I'm filming a wedding. So that means all like the recorders, and the headphones, and the microphones, and all the phones, and all the cables, and everything else that I use to record high quality audio whenever I'm filming a wedding. But before we get into that, I have a big announcement to make. We're having a baby. No, I'm just kidding. We're not having a baby. Don't tell my wife that. Don't tell my family that. No, we're not having a baby yet. Don't worry. What I do have to tell you is that I am now offering personal one-on-one film consulting. So if you're one of the many people that has emailed me a link to their wedding film asking for critiques for it, or if you want to talk to me about gear, what cameras to buy or what lenses to buy, or if you want to talk about the business side of weddings, like what you should be charging and what sort of packages you should be offering, things like that. I've received many emails per day from people asking me questions like that, and it was really eating into all of my time to do anything else, taking the time to answer. Not that I won't be replying for free to emails and things like that, but if you're looking for a super awesome one-on-one discussion where we talk about your films and your company and what you want to do with it, I am now happy to say that I'm offering that, and I will include a link to that down in the description of this video. But we're not here to talk about my consulting today. Today I want to talk to you about audio. And audio is really part of, I guess, the triangle of power, which is a totally made-up term that I'm coming up with now for video production. And three parts of the triangle would be visuals, as in like the stuff that your camera is recording and like the ideally beautiful imagery that you're recording. The second point of the triangle would be the music. And so if you have just beautiful imagery, it's like, oh, that's pretty, but not super compelling. You add music and you add emotion to things. So music is the emotional component of the triangle. So if you're watching a video and suddenly you have music, you're like, ooh, I'm feeling something. This is really beautiful and I really like how this feels. But then if you add audio, and that in the sense of live audio of somebody speaking, and somebody telling a story, suddenly you have this like awesome triangle of power where people are seeing beautiful imagery and they're feeling their emotions being pushed by the music, and then they're also hearing a story with it. Suddenly it makes things super compelling and super awesome. So in the context of filming a video, audio is a super crucial, important part. And in the context of filming a wedding, I would say it's the most important part, because if you're just watching a pretty video with music, it's kind of like a wedding music video montage, and you're like, that's cool. But if you have the audio, then you're actually getting to know the couple and you're actually getting to feel the same feelings that they're feeling on the wedding day. And ideally your clients, whenever you are filming them and they're watching the video, they're gonna be able to look back and relive their day exactly as it happened, which is super awesome. Phil Bloom is really gonna hate me for all the times I use the word awesome in this video, but that's okay. But before I get started talking about all of the gear and jumping into all that, I do have one more thing I want to say about audio. And what I want to say is that whenever you think about audio, it really comes in two parts, just like how video comes in two parts. For example, you have your video, that whenever you shoot it in your camera and bring it into your editing software, it hasn't been color corrected, it's not color graded definitely, it's long clips, it hasn't been edited at all, it's just like, here's the raw video done. And in the same way, your audio recorder is just recording raw audio, high quality audio, but it hasn't been tweaked or modified or improved in any way. And so what I find that whenever I was just starting out doing video, I would edit the video and make it look all pretty, but I would kind of neglect the audio and just put it into the track and be like, well, that's done. We're just going to render this thing and send it off. And what I found is that if you take the time to learn how to edit the audio just as well as you edit the video, then suddenly the bass sounds better, the highs are good, and people are listening and responding to your video because it has that crisp, clear audio that people want to hear. So I'm not going to go into editing audio today because this video is going to be long enough as it is with me talking about my gear. But in the future, I'm going to make a video about how to sweeten audio, as they call it. But right now, I don't want to go into that. And I'm not really planning on making like a part 2 sweetening audio coming out in a few weeks. No, like at this point, I'm just doing this video. But if a lot of people ask in the comments, then I'll plan on doing another video like that in the future, talking about how to improve the quality of audio that you're recording. But for now, let's talk about gear. And incidentally, down in the description below, I'm going to have links to all of the audio gear I talk about today, as well as a link to my gear page on my website, which literally lists all of the gear that I have ever filmed with. So like cameras and lenses and all the support gear that I've ever used. You can go to my website and look at it if you're ever wondering like, what lenses does Matt use to film his weddings? It's on there. So I would highly recommend checking that out. Today though, we're only going to be talking about audio gear, and I'm going to be going through it in order of how I film it on the wedding day. So we're going to start with like pre-ceremony audio gear, then ceremony, then reception. So you're not like, what are we talking about? What part does he use this for? We're going to try to go in order and just kind of go from there. But for now, let's talk about recorders, starting with This is the Zoom H5, which is a super handy little recorder. It has a ton of inputs that I really like. I reach for this thing first on the wedding day because whenever I'm recording anything like notes that the couple has written each other, or they have a message that they want to say, or any other audio that I want to put a microphone on them to have them record before the ceremony, this is what I reach for because it has dials that I can actually specifically control, like, okay, here's the audio levels, I'm monitoring things, I can make sure that I'm recording good quality audio. So I use this in combination with several microphones that I'll be talking about later. The only drawback to this thing is that it does not have auto gain control, meaning that it does not automatically change its levels. So if you are recording anything where you can actually monitor the recording levels, this thing is really awesome and really easy to adjust and change. But if you are actually recording anything where you cannot monitor the audio, I would not recommend the Zoom H5. So this is a special use recorder that I only use in certain situations. But the next recorder is the one that I use far more often. This is the Zoom H4n, which you've probably recognized because who doesn't? I feel like most people own one of these things. I've owned this guy since like 2009, and he's still going strong, which is really awesome. But honestly, it has been like the workhorse of my audio recording life, and it has been very faithful and very helpful throughout the years. As you can see, it is like turned on and recording right now because I am using it to record myself with a microphone that I'm going to talk about here in a second. So I can't really like adjust any of the buttons right now because otherwise it would mess up my recording of my actual video here, so we're not going to do that. But pros of the Zoom H4n is that it does have auto gain control. So you can press record and it's going to automatically change the microphone levels. You notice that I'm not like checking my levels, like looking around like whenever I'm recording, like, yeah guys, sounds good, am I too quiet? No, like this is doing it automatically, which is super helpful. But the Zoom H4n has two drawbacks, and the first one is really pretty nitpicky for me, and that is that if you press the record button to record, you have to press it twice. The first time you press it, it'll just start monitoring the audio. The second time, it will actually start recording the audio. And I've had multiple instances where I only pressed it once, dumb me, I know, and it wasn't actually recording. So if you are using one of these, just be aware of that. It is a small issue, but something that the H5 does not deal with. With the H5, you press the record button once and it's recording, and you don't have to worry about whether it's recording or not, which is really nice. So I'm not going to say that that was the entire reason I bought the H5, but that was a really nice reason to pick it up too. The other drawback of the H4n, and this is the biggest one in my opinion, is the battery life. This thing sucks down batteries like no other. You notice that I actually have it like plugged in right now via AC power because I would not trust this thing to record for more than like an hour or two. This thing drains batteries so fast. So if I'm using this on a wedding day, I always bring the AC adapter with me and I always have it plugged in because I don't want to risk losing battery power and losing my audio recordings throughout the day. Otherwise, I love this thing. It has been amazing and I've used it at every wedding I've ever shot over the past 7 years. It's pretty great. You're probably wondering why I have an H4n and an H5 though, and the reason is that I was actually at a wedding where they had two soundboards at the reception across the room from each other, and they were using both of them for toasts. So literally, I was like, I need to have another recorder so I can plug a recorder into this soundboard and another recorder into this soundboard and actually be able to record both of them. So thankfully, I have both of these now, and so if I run into a situation like that, I can now record both. Up next, we have 3 Olympus voice recorders, and you notice that there are 2 of them that are the same model and 1 of them that's different, and you're probably wondering why. The reason being that these are the Olympus DM-620, and both of these are no longer made anymore by Olympus. So I had to start using the WS-822 model, which is their newer voice recorder. All of these act very similar, same way. They record high quality wave audio. They have microphone inputs. This one has them on top, these have them on the side. And they record with auto gain levels, and I use them as standalone audio recorders. So in the event that I don't want to deal with like wireless audio or something like that and deal with any sort of static or issues caused by that, I use these and put them on to pretty much everybody that I can, and they record really high quality audio that sounds really good. Otherwise, battery life on these things is really great. They last for hours and hours and hours, and they have a micro SD card slot. So you can plug in micro SD cards and record for a very long time without really needing to worry about battery power or recording time. At this point, you're probably like, Matt, why do you have 5 recorders? That's kind of crazy. But the truth is, I believe in backups, and I believe in backups for the backups, to be honest. Because I have dealt with multiple audio issues at weddings before, where you have a DJ or a sound guy that's like, well, I have never had a problem with our audio. It's always been perfect, and there's never been an issue, and you can trust me completely. And I say, like, that's great. I really don't trust you at all, because I have had multiple issues at weddings where the sound has completely cut out. Like, they have all their house audio with all their mics, and everything has died. And so suddenly the minister's up there talking, and nobody can hear him except for the couple, and I'm back there like, really glad I have backups right now, because I'm safe. Regardless of how the house audio is recording, I do not want to trust just their audio system. I want to have my own that I trust, and I want to be using everything in conjunction. So I want to use their audio and my audio and have multiple sources, at minimum 3, ideally like 5 sources of audio, because there's going to be varying degrees of quality, and it's going to guarantee that the video sounds the best that it possibly can. And remember too, this is a wedding. There's no do-overs. There's no like, hold on, can you do this ceremony again? I wasn't recording. You don't have that option. So really, honestly, you have to get it right the first time. And so I don't think that having this amount of recorders is too crazy. Now let's talk about microphones, because at this point you're like, Matt, you've got all these recorders. You probably got to have microphones too. And it's true, I do. So starting off, let's talk about the Sennheiser G3, which I am currently wearing and recording with. So I can't actually show you, except for like in some B-roll, what it looks like and how it works, because I don't want to take it off and you not be able to hear me as I'm like waving it around in front of my face. So this is the Sennheiser G3. Specifically, this is the receiving unit. The transmitting unit is pretty much exactly the same size, so it's pretty small and fits easily onto the Talent's belt or pocket or any other place you need to clip it. The sound quality, as you can tell, because I'm speaking into it right now, is pretty good. I like it a lot. I think it sounds great. The battery life is outstanding on these things. They will last for hours and hours and hours, even through like the longest wedding ceremonies. I've never had to change them out throughout a day, which has been really great. I'm usually using this microphone system right at the start of the day whenever I'm having the bride and groom read the letters that they have written to each other. So I will clip this onto their belt or their pocket or something like that, and I will record them reading and saying things. Generally, I will plug the Sennheiser directly into the Zoom H5 while I'm recording, because I have the manual gain control and I can adjust the audio levels as we go. So in case things get too loud or too quiet, I can adjust things right on the spot while I'm recording them reading. The next time I use the Sennheiser is during the wedding ceremony, whenever I plug it directly into the XLR inputs on my Sony FS100. So I use this as a B or even a C camera during the ceremony whenever I need a nice static shot that I don't have to worry about. I love this thing as XLR inputs, so I can plug the audio directly into it and record it. It has great auto leveling, and I don't really have to worry about it too much, and it's nice because the audio and video is already synced because I'm recording directly into it. If I didn't have the FS100, which is not a super popular camera, so I don't feel like a lot of you do, I would plug the Sennheiser into the Zoom H5 during the ceremony, and I would keep it with me. So that way, if I'm roaming around a little bit, I can still check the audio levels as I go and make sure that things sound good and are being monitored. Next set of microphones. In this horribly tangled rat's nest here, I have 3 Microphone Madness matchstick lapel mics, which I will now auto-magically straighten out so you can actually look at them. Ta-da! As I just said, this is the Microphone Madness matchstick lapel microphone. And look at how tiny this thing is. It really is like the size of a match, which is really, really great for putting into hard to reach places. I love these microphones. As I said, I have 3 of them, and you'll notice that I have 3 Olympus recorders. So yes, I use 3 microphones with the 3 Olympus recorders as 3 standalone recording units that I don't have to worry about or stress about wireless signal interference or anything like that I kind of have to worry about with the Sennheiser. The microphone plugs in the recorder just like so, and you'll notice that it has an L bracket connection, so it's not going to be pulled out as easily as if it was just a straight connection. If you're pulling on it even from like hard on the side, the only real way to pull it out is you have to grab it and pull like that. So between this L bracket and the hold feature on these recorders, I have not had an audio recording fail due to like somebody bumping it or pulling on it or just getting like messed up in somebody's shirt, which is so wonderful to know that I don't have to stress about this as much. You should be aware that these microphones are very sensitive, which is a good thing, but in the Olympus recorder, you need to set the mic sensitivity to low, otherwise you can deal with peaking. Now I'm going to cut off your line of thought really quickly here, because you're probably thinking, why is Matt using one of these recording setups and not one of those new fancy Tascam DR10L recorder systems that's super awesome? And the reason is that I have not purchased any yet. So I'm sorry, once I do that, I'm probably gonna switch entirely over to that and be like, this is wonderful, these are garbage, what was I thinking? But for now, this is what I use, and I really like this system. Last thing I'm gonna talk about with this recorder and microphone setup is how I attach this microphone to the groom or the minister or any other talent that I'm recording. You'll notice that it doesn't have a traditional clip or anything like that. And it's not because it doesn't come with it. It does, and the clip is terrible and really flimsy and will either break or fall off in approximately 10 seconds. So I would not recommend using it. What I use instead is Rycote stickies, which sound kind of gross, but they're really awesome. The stickies come on this piece of paper here, and you peel one off. I am wasting one of these for this video, so you better be thankful. Peel it off, and you'll notice that this side is actually very sticky, because it is in the title, it should be sticky. And I take the microphone and I just push it right onto it like that. And then the other side also has a sticker. So you remove the sticker from the other side, and now it's really sticky and has a nice adhesive. So what I do to attach this to the groom or the minister, whoever else I'm recording, if they have a jacket on, I stick this to just inside their inner jacket lapel where it's not visible, but it's almost visible. And the benefit is that way you get like good audio without like dealing with shirt rustling or something like that. The benefit of using these stickies is that they are completely invisible. Nobody knows that the talent is wearing this microphone. Unlike a lapel mic, which is usually clipped on and pretty obvious, unless the talent has some sort of like beard or something like that, and so you can't see their microphone, you're gonna be able to tell. So this is a really great option if the talent does not have facial hair. Incidentally, if you're using this microphone setup on a windy day, Rycote also makes overcovers which go over this side of the microphone and help block wind. So between the sticky side and the overcover side, you're pretty well protected if it's a windy day. So I would consider picking up some of these too if you need them. Next, let's talk about who I actually put these microphones on during the wedding ceremony. In general, I put the Sennheiser G3 and an Olympus recorder on the groom. The reason being that the Olympus acts as a backup to the Sennheiser in the event that there's any sort of wireless transmission issues or anything like that. I know that I have good, clean audio of the vows. I also don't put a microphone on the bride yet. I'm planning on getting like a little garter setup thing where then you can plug the recorder in and run it up and tape it to her so that way you can record. But in general, for now, it is far easier to put a microphone on the groom and not worry about it than deal with putting a microphone on the bride. I do want to do that in the future, but I have not done that yet. I'm not perfect, I'm sorry. But if you have any tips or recommendations or ideas for that, I would love to hear them. But for now, I put those two microphones on the groom, and because they're omnidirectional and the bride is only ever standing like 2 or 3 feet away from him, I've never had an issue with it not being able to pick up her vows too. Secondly, I put another Olympus audio recorder and microphone on the minister, so that way I can make sure that I record good audio of his message. Because if you have good audio of the minister's message and good audio of the vows and everything else that the bride and groom say, you're pretty set for the wedding ceremony. You'll notice, though, that I still have another Olympus recorder that I haven't used. To be honest, the reason that I initially bought that other Olympus recorder is because I was getting multiple weddings where they had 2 ministers. It was like they were using a church that the minister that they wanted wasn't a part of, so the church was like, yeah, you can come and preach on our turf, but we want to like have our minister talk to make sure you don't say anything weird. It's strange, but in that case, I had 2 microphones, so I was putting one on each minister and I didn't have to worry about it. Now, if it's just one minister, I generally look and see if there's any other place that I could put this other microphone. So, for example, if they have like a scripture reading or something like that on a pedestal, then I'll put it on the podium so that way I can record that audio. Or if you consider one of the weddings I filmed last November, they did hire a full mariachi band to play during their wedding ceremony. Multiple times, worship songs, full mariachi uniforms. It was amazing. And nobody thought to mic those guys for some reason, probably because they were like ear-burstingly loud already. So I took one of my little recorders and put it over in front of them, and I have great mariachi music now. And I probably don't even need to license music for that wedding video. Honestly, I'm just going to use mariachi music for the entire thing. It's going to be amazing. So to clarify, just so we're clear, I have the Sennheiser G3 on the groom, I have an Olympus recorder and microphone on the groom, I have an Olympus recorder and microphone on the minister, I have a third Olympus microphone and recorder that I'm using to record pretty much anything else that may be important during the day. I'm running the Sennheiser into my Sony FS100, or I would run into the Zoom H5 if I didn't have that. I'm running the house audio from the church into the Zoom H4n with auto leveling. So at this point, I'm running at minimum 3 sources of audio if I can't get into the house audio, and 4 or 5 otherwise. It's really great to have that many sources of audio during a wedding ceremony. And I realize that you're like, that's still probably overkill, but hey, whenever disaster strikes, I'm glad that I'm prepared. Next, let's talk about cables. And these are all the things you're going to be plugging into the house soundboard for audio or to the DJ soundboard or something like that. The thing to keep in mind is that these are other people's equipment that you're plugging into. So much like in my video that I'm going to link to up here in the corner, where I talked about how you should get along with photographers and talk to them ahead of time before filming a wedding, I would highly recommend doing the same thing whenever you are dealing with DJs or with venues that have sound guys, reach out to the venues and DJs ahead of time and say, hey, what kind of soundboard are you running? I have these cables and connections. Could I plug into them to record the ceremony? Who are you going to have mic'd? Can I plug into it for the reception? So that way I can record the toast. These are all really important things that you need to consider because you're using other people's equipment to make sure this stuff works. So once you reach out and get the green light, there are really only about 3 cables that you definitely need with you at every single wedding, barring that the DJ uses some weird obscure connection type. These are all, I believe, Hosa brand cables, which I bought on Amazon, that were both cheap and had good reviews, which are my main criteria for pretty much anything that I buy ever. So with that in mind, first let's talk about cables, and we're gonna start with talking about XLR, which if you have done any sound production ever, you know what XLR is because it's pretty much the most ubiquitous connection ever for any sort of sound thing. If the DJ doesn't have XLR, you should probably really seriously question if he's not just running an iPod and just hitting play, because XLR is pretty much everywhere. Granted, you may not always be able to plug into it because the DJ may be using it for all of his speakers, so you need to keep that in mind. XLR cables plug in very easily to the bottom of the Zoom H4n or the Zoom H5, and that's really all I have to say about them. They're XLR. They're ubiquitous, they're everywhere, they're awesome. Up next on the list of cables that you're definitely going to need to bring with you is, of course, 1/4 inch, which is pretty much as ubiquitous as XLR. In general, DJ will probably have an output for 1/4 inch on his board somewhere, even if it's like a headphone monitoring, which I've plugged into before and used when recording audio. So bring one of these along. If they don't have XLR, then they probably have 1/4 inch. And if they don't have 1/4 inch for some reason, your third cable to bring along is 1/4 inch to RCA. And you're probably like, well, Matt, you just said they don't have 1/4 inch, so clearly we can't use this side for the DJ. We can use RCA though, because in general, I've always found that the DJ has at least one of these connections that I've been able to plug into. So the RCA will go into the DJ soundboard, and the 1/4 inch will go into your Zoom recorder, just like that. So you've got XLR options, you've got 1/4 inch. With these 3 cables, you should be able to plug into the DJ soundboard somehow. At this point, if the DJ or the sound guy does not have one of these 3 outputs on their soundboard for you, I'm sorry, but all hope is lost. You should probably just quit filming weddings now. It's over. I'm just kidding. Don't worry. I have another option for you. It's gonna be okay. And this other option may actually be better for you than plugging into the soundboard straight anyways. So this is another thing for you to consider. And this other option is called the Whirlwind IMP 1x2 Splitter, which doesn't actually tell you anything about what it does, but I'm going to explain it to you now. This thing is, for all intents and purposes, a XLR splitter. You plug one XLR cable into one side and you get 2 XLR cables out. The benefit of this is that you can plug it into the wireless microphone base station. So normally the DJ or the sound guy will have a wireless microphone, little black box station with antennas coming out of it, and that plugs directly into the soundboard. This guy goes in between that base station and the soundboard. And the benefit of this is that you get super clean, clear, direct audio from the wireless microphones, and you don't deal with any of the board or the mixing or the reverb or the echo or the music that the DJ decides to play in the background, which I have dealt with before. So you're gonna go up to the DJ and you're gonna beg, like, please let me plug this thing in, it's really great. Over here, I swear I won't mess it up, and then have him test it, and it should be okay. Remember to bring a lot of XLR cables though, because you're gonna need at least 3 to make this thing work. But this splitter is a total lifesaver if you do not wanna plug directly in the soundboard, or if you're dealing with a shady DJ, or anything else like that. This gives you a backup option in the event that all else fails, and you have no output on the DJ's board. And now we find ourselves at the same place that we were at a few moments ago, but now slightly more stressed. You're saying to me, Matt, I've tried to plug into one of these 3 sound outputs on the soundboard, and the DJ, it isn't working, he doesn't have the option. And so you're like, okay, Matt, I have this splitter now, but the DJ won't let me plug into his wireless receiver. He doesn't trust me because it's weird. So now I have no way to record the audio. Help me, Obi Matt Kenobi. You are my only hope. Don't worry, guys. I have one more option, and I can pretty much guarantee you that it will work, and it will save your bacon. It has saved my bacon multiple times at weddings, and it's super simple and awesome. And the thing that's gonna save you is this! And you're probably looking at it right now like, Matt, what is this thing? It looks like a shiny condom. What is going on right now? Don't worry, let me explain. First of all, we're gonna turn this thing inside out. Now it's a black condom, and you're like, Matt, this still doesn't explain anything to me, help me. Okay, here we go. This is gonna save you. First of all, this is a microphone sleeve. And you're like, okay, what is that gonna do for me, especially if it's bedazzled? We're only use it with the black side out, first of all. That's my main recommendation to you. Second of all, this will work with any wireless mic or stationary mic, any microphone ever, really. First, you're gonna take it and you're gonna stretch it out a little bit and you're gonna slide it up over the microphone, which at that point, it really is resembling a condom. I'm just gonna be totally honest with you. At that point, you now have a sleeve on your microphone and you're like, what am I gonna do with that? You're gonna take your Olympus recorder and you're gonna slide it down into the stretchy pocket that you have now created around the microphone. It is stretchy enough to hold the microphone and this recorder easily. I've done this many times. And suddenly, you have your own source of audio that is right up near the speaker's mouth. So it's gonna hear everything that they say with minimal echo or reverb or anything else like that. It's gonna be amazing quality. So this is your fallback plan. I've filmed multiple weddings out in the Texas countryside where the soundboard is either broken or so ancient that you can't plug into it. And I have saved my bacon by putting this mic sleeve and recorder onto the microphone and recorded flawless toast audio. So as a backup for the cables or the XLR splitter, if neither of those are working, this is your last option and it should work. I use it even if I have good audio from everything else. I still put this onto the microphone as a backup in the event the microphone cuts out. And it has saved me so many times. So I would highly recommend investing in one of these little microphone sleeves. I think they're like 25 bucks, which is definitely overpriced for like a little stretchy thing, but it is wonderful. So of course I will have a link to that in the bottom too. Now we're almost done here, I promise. Let's talk about power. All of the recorders, microphones, etc. that I use are all powered by either AA or AAA batteries. And in my case, I use the Amazon Basics brand of rechargeable batteries. Specifically, their high capacity versions, which store more energy and will last longer than the basic versions. So make sure that you search like Amazon Basics high capacity on Amazon and buy some of those. These are just rebranded Sanyo Inaloop batteries, which I used for years and really loved. So they will work very well for you and hold their charge for a very long time. I would recommend buying a lot of them. Secondly, if you need a way to store them, I have these little blue cell, I believe they're called, battery cases that are not expensive at all, but it's nice because they store up to 4 batteries at a time, and they'll also store AAA batteries, which is really great. So if you need a way to keep track of your batteries, I keep all my stuff that's charged inside the case. Once I use it, it's outside the case in the bottom of my bag, and then I fish it out and charge it at the end of the day. For charging these batteries, I still have my Sanyo Inaloop chargers. As an alternative, you can also buy the Amazon Basics brand of charger, or pretty much any other rechargeable battery charger should work to recharge these batteries. But regardless, you're gonna want a lot of batteries and a lot of chargers, so just budget out like $100 and only spend it on batteries and chargers, and you should be set for a wedding day. Lastly, let's talk about headphones, because whenever you're recording the audio, you need to actually be able to monitor a lot of the audio too. In my case, I use these Sony earbuds that were like 20 bucks, really cheap, but they offer good sound quality and they're also black. I have a lot of iPhone headphones that I could use, but they're white and they show up and they don't look quite as professional. So I really like having a good set of black headphones that I can plug in and listen to and be like, oh, does this sound clear? Okay, great. These aren't studio grade or anything like that, but they're really great if you need to be able to confirm, is this recording? Yes, it is. Okay, great, then I'm set. And that's about it. I hope this video has been helpful to you and that my extensive use of audio backups did not terrify you away from setting up a wedding film day audio kit like I have. I really do believe in backups. I think it's really great to have, and I feel like this kit is really versatile and able to handle the wide variety of scenarios that you're going to come in contact with whenever you're filming a wedding, considering that you may not know anything about the church or about the DJ or anything like that until you reach out to them. It's really great to know that if I had to go in blind, I have the gear and equipment that I need to most likely be able to handle that situation. Also, if you're interested in seeing more videos like this in the future, or videos about wedding filmmaking or filmmaking in general, or camera equipment or anything else like that, and you're not already subscribed, please consider subscribing and liking this video. As always, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave one below or get in touch with me through my website, WhoisMatt.com. And remember, I'm now offering personal one-on-one filmmaking consulting. So if you want to talk about wedding filmmaking in general, how to charge, what to charge, camera lenses, beard maintenance tips, which I am more than happy to talk about with you for an hour, I would love to talk with you. And so I will have a link to that down below as well. You can also check out my wedding film production company, FilmStrong Productions, at filmstrong.com. Thanks and have a great day.